Hello again. Now let's look at the trial balance. Like we said earlier, the trial balance is a list of all the accounts, of all the items in our accounts, of all the transactions. But in the trial balance, we have to indicate whether the item has a debit or a credit balance and record the relevant amount on the debit or credit balance where it belongs. Okay, so the trial balance, it has to balance. Unless there is an error, the trial balance will not balance. If there is an error, that error amount will be written as suspense. Okay, that's it. So now for you to be able to determine which elements or which items go to the debit or credit side of the trial balance, you have to have the background of the accounting equation. There we are saying you have to know whether an items belong to the capital side or to the asset side or to the expenses side or to the liability side. Now let's look at the accounting equation. It says capital is equal to assets minus liabilities. All the items which fall under expenses in the trial balance will be treated as assets. Expenses have a debit balance, so we'll treat them as assets. Like we said in the accounting equation, it says capital is equal to assets minus liabilities. So all the items that fall under expenses, they will be having the same balance with assets. So we also have capital, all the capital amounts, they will fall under capital. All the capital elements, they might include reserves, net profits, and share capital. Share capital, it comes in both preference shares or ordinary shares. Now let's look at the example that we have on the board and try to see which element belongs to which side of the trial balance. You need to complete the trial balance correctly so that you can now compute the statement of profit or loss without problems. Now let's see. Sales. Sales, they are revenue which has not been deducted with expenses. So sales, as revenue, they fall under capital elements. So sales will be recorded on the credit side of the trial balance. So we just put an X here. So if you've got sales, you have to put the sales on the credit balance. We also have purchases. Purchases, they are the money that we use to buy stocks that we use to resell. So in other ways, we can put them being on the same side of expenses, so they also have a debit side. So they will put, let's just put stars there and X's there. Okay, we also have closing stock. Closing stock, it has a negative effect on purchases. So we are trying to say closing stock reduces purchases. So if we say purchases have a debit balance, anything that reduces purchases, it has a credit balance. Because purchases with a debit balance, if we want to increase them, we increase them on the debit side. So if we want to deduct them with closing stock, we go to the opposite side, which is the credit side. Let's just put our stars square there. Okay. Now we go to capital. Capital is the major element which is used by the owner to start the business. Capital has a credit balance. So we'll put X is for capital there. Then we also go to expenses. Expenses, they reduce capital. So if they reduce capital, which has a credit balance, expenses will have a debit balance. Okay, we go to motor van. A motor van is an asset, so it also has a debit balance. Now we can look at a loan. A loan is money that we borrow to increase our business or to improve our business. So a loan have got the same effect with capital. So it has a credit balance. We also go to the bank. A bank reflects the money that is in the bank owned by the company, and this money is an asset. So the bank has a debit balance. We also look at accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation, it reduces assets. For example, if we use our motor van for 3 years, it reduces in value, and the reduction of the first year and the reduction of the second year in forms of depreciation and the reduction of the third year, if it combined, the combined amount becomes accumulated depreciation. So the accumulated depreciation has a credit balance because it reduces the value of an asset. Now we look at prepayments. Prepayments are the monies that we pay in advance. For example, we make an advance rental payment, we make an advance payment on rates. It's an asset to the business. So prepayments, they are assets and they have a debit balance. So this is basically what happens in the trial balance. So as you put the figures and try to balance everything, it should come to balance. When it balances, you are now taking the information from the trial balance and trying to do a statement of income or a statement of profit and loss. Okay, that's it for now. Bye bye.